Hey there, everybody. This is Caitlin here, and welcome to the slightly late, a little bit late, quite a bit late, I would have to admit, spoiler discussion for Advent of the Demon King for the first 3 days of this week. Sorry, this video is a little bit late. I wanted to get this up on a Wednesday, but due to different circumstances and whatnot, I didn't get the chance to record it on Wednesday, sadly. So I'm a little bit catch up now, but hopefully I can recover and we can get up to speed and whatnot on all the spoilers that we need to cover. It's just this way where like they're doing cards every single day, and it's a struggle where sometimes like some days I can't record, some days circumstances with work and other family commitments and everything like that. It's a little bit difficult to try and keep on top of all of them, so my apologies that they're late this week. Hopefully I'll be on top of it next week and whatnot. But starting off, we have our light spoilers. We have Gem Boat Alexandrite, which is I was going to say it's a 4-cost resonator. It is actually a 6-cost resonator, which is an airship, which is kind of bizarre. It has 0 attack and 1500 defense. It has flying, obviously, because it's an airship. When this card enters the field, you remove target resonator from the game. You can tap it and banish 3 gems. Remove target non-magic stone, non-J ruler entity from the game. Straight off the bat here, I don't like this card, mainly because it is way too expensive, even like for pandas. It just feels like you're never going to get to that point where games are moving so fast now with like Carrick just really helped with the swiftness game, with the really fast burn and whatnot. I feel like for 6, well, this is way too expensive. It is not going to be seen in any kind of like actual serious deck. I feel like, alright, it's okay for draft, and I can see it being used in draft and whatnot if you get to the point where you have 6 stones, but I really don't see this seeing like actual field play and whatnot. It just doesn't seem like an actually good card. Shimmering like the stars, the gem boat rose into the air, soaring towards the floating isle. So yeah, I don't like this card. It is pretty lame, and even the artwork is like a bit uninspired. It's just like, oh yeah, here's a floating ship. I don't know. Maybe it's also just because how dark that it seems in the artwork. It doesn't seem that good to me in all honesty. Moving on, we have a voyage to the floating isle, a 1-cost chant, not quite cast sadly. You search your deck for a resonator with flying, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Again, this is pretty like self-explanatory, very easy kind of like tutoring kind of card, whatnot. Not sure whether this would be good for draft purposes. I suppose if you know for definite that you have a very good flyer resonator and you're just not pulling any kind of like really good resonators that fly, then you could use this and search it out, but it only puts it into hand, so you still need to actually pay the cost to play the resonator that you pick out. So I'm not too sure. Maybe very good for decks that have a lot of flyers, although a lot of the pandas don't fly. So again, I'm not too sure, and I don't think there's many golems either for light that fly. So currently our 2 archetypes for Rhea Cluster for light being the pandas and the golems. I don't really see them getting much use out of this card really. Thanks to the Ultra Magic Stone, Alexandrite was able to make its voyage. So now we're introducing Ultra Magic Stones apparently. Are we a little bit inspired by Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon perhaps? I'm not too sure. I wonder what the Ultra magic stone is, because I don't think it's the weird glowing things on the side of the ship, because there's more than one. It just says ultra magic stone, so not stones. So I'm not too sure. Then again, we do know that Almerius, the special magic stone, created from the 6 Sage Almerius or whatever, or the actual stone form of Almerius, made things float, made things fly. Apparently it made Wraithar fly, so maybe it'd be quite interesting to find out whether or not this floating isle is connected. If, I'm pretty sure we are on the same world as Grimm, so I feel like that would be self-explanatory. Next up we have the floating isle itself, another, well actually I was going to say another addition, but the boat itself wasn't an addition, it was a resonator. It is a 3-cost quick cast addition, which is very bizarre to see a quick cast addition. Normally it's just like quick cast spells and resonators, but now we have a quick cast addition, which is very, very bizarre. Each player may only play 1 card per turn. Which, yeah, this is like control-y stall tactics and whatnot. This is really, really bizarre. So, since it's only 1 card per turn, you really need to make the choice as to whether or not you are going to be going for basically, kind of like a resonator that turn or a spell that turn. It just like kind of like stalls the game a little bit, I suppose, until you can set up. I'm not sure whether you'd want to like play this to just stall your opponent a little bit and then maybe find a way to destroy it yourself and then go full in and just like demolish your opponent. I guess it really depends, because a lot of like, I feel like a lot of light cards themselves on their own, if they're not like say within the archetype, like say the pandas and whatnot, I feel like they don't meld well together, so I'm not too sure. But Seems like an interesting card. And at the bottom here it says, a forbidden place that imposes harsh conditions upon intruders. Is this maybe where Pandora is living with her golems or whatnot? We can see some kind of like pyramid, ancient kind of structures here, kind of reminding me a little bit of like the Garden of Babylon and whatnot. So I'm not too sure. This maybe feels like it's the place where Pandora's like her like what's the word of it? Her temple? Yeah, her temple. I forgot what the word was there. It feels like this is the place her temple is, although I'm not too sure. Weird how we would see Pandora and the golems first, but then the temple and the floating isle would come second. Maybe this isn't where Pandora is currently living, but it feels like they are connected in a way, because we also got a golem for this spoiler. We got the magic warrior on the floating isle. It is a 1-cost light, has 0 attack and 1500 defense, and a mobilize of 1 void. So especially I see this draft. I feel like this is entirely meant for draft. I don't think this is meant for actual constructed play, but then again, if you want a 1-drop golem that mobilizes for 1 and it only has 15, well, it has 1500 defense, so that's quite a low defense, but it has 0 attack. Fair dues to you. Oh, it seems like quite a fragile thing. I mean, it can easily just be killed by like unseen pressure or something like that. Tigris was getting rusty. It took a lot more effort to get rid of it than he thought. So this does seem to be like they arrived to the floating isle, and this is where Pandora's living with her golems. And for some reason, Gil and Tigris are like, "Yo, let's wreck these golems for some reason or other." I can't fathom as to why, but I guess hopefully we'll find out soon enough in the lore. Finally, moving on to our fire spoilers, and we have Freyla, Servant of Demon Fire, and it seems to be confirmed that the Wicked Spirits / Magians, they are basically the majority of them seem to be dark elves who have been corrupted and basically possessed by the Wicked Spirits and the power of the crest. So, very sad to see Freyla getting introduced into Ancient Knights, and she's already dead / possessed, so she just got Valentini'd, if that is the correct term that we're going to use here. She is a 2-drop Resonator. She is 1 fire, 1 void, a 600/600, a Dark Elf / Wicked Spirit. When this card enters the field, it gains Swiftness until end of turn if you don't control another Resonator. Whenever this card attacks another target Resonator you control, may gain 400 attack and Swiftness until end of turn. If it does, at the next end of turn, its controller banishes it. Now, I believe the way that this is worded here, because it's the next end of turn, if you flickered out that Resonator or whatnot with the power, I don't know if it's that Resonator or Freyla herself, if you flickered the Resonator, I believe you wouldn't have to banish it, as per the way that Lumia and this kind of interaction works, I believe. So that is actually really interesting. Obviously, it's only when Freyla attacks that it gives Swiftness. So I suppose that you maybe, depending on your run or whatnot, I can see this maybe you working this with the Echoes of the New World Prisia, where you're actually using this to play Prisia, then you swing with Freyla or whatever. You give Prisia the Swiftness and the 400, and then obviously you flicker out. You would probably lose the 100 counters and whatnot that you get from Presia's ability, but that would be a cool way to be able to give Presia Swiftness and whatnot. So that would be a really, really interesting. At the bottom here it says, Freyla, I'm sorry. Gil, I think you're going to have some many regrets here. You just basically helped kill off one of your only friends, apparently. Although, apparently Gil has, like, a lot of friends with the elves and whatnot. So, maybe not, but I guess we'll just need to wait and see. Next up, we have the Magian Dark Elf, a 1-cost Resonator here. 1-cost Fire Resonator, I should actually say. A 600/600 Dark Elf, has Swiftness. Play this card only if damage was dealt to you this turn. So, sadly, it's not a quick cast card, so there's no way for you to quick cast the Magian into the field. And also, funnily enough, it has been noted that the quote-unquote shock stones, or the kind of the stones that are specific to a ruler where you have to pay 300 life if you don't play the ruler, they don't count as dealing damage to you. That counts as loss of life, so you can't use those stones in conjunction with this in order to get like a turn 1 6/6. This is a kind of bizarre card here. I suppose this is meant to be for the Dark Elf deck, obviously, because it's primarily a Dark Elf, even though it's saying it's a Magian. So I suppose this would be best for Freyla in particular. Obviously, you would maybe want to build her as like a Dark Fire to make use of her ability that uses fire and whatnot. So a very interesting card. I suppose I would need to like see some kind of way where you would be able to deal damage to yourself in your first turn in order to play this. And at the bottom here it says, Evil filled the void in this creature's heart. in this evil, wicked elf. And here we have the next card, which shows us the moment where Freyla meets her doom at the hands of the Demon King himself. It is Majin subjugation, which seems to be the method in which Welsser, I'm pretty sure it was Welsser creates his Majins by basically corrupting, it looks like corrupting people themselves and letting kind of like evil demonic magic reside within them. It's a 1-cost chant. As an additional cost to play this card, banish a Resonator. You can search your deck for a Wicked Spirit with total cost X or less, where X is the banished Resonator's total plus 2, and put it into the field. Then shuffle your deck. So a very interesting way to get Wicked Spirits into the field. I can see this is a good way to try and ramp up and get higher cost Resonators into your field quite quickly. Say if you just played like a measly little small 1-drop Wicked Spirit or Resonator in the beginning, and then the next turn or whatever, you can use this to like banish that Resonator, then you can get a 3-cost or whatever on turn 2, just depending on which one you do and whatnot. So I can see this as being a good way to kind of ramp into these kind of higher cost Resonators. There's no way to escape the Demon King's influence, as Freyla looks like she is writhing in pain there as her eyes are burning red and her body seems to be like becoming like a molten ash and corrupted and whatnot. So kind of scary there. Next we have Callous Blaze, a quick cast chant. It is 1 fire and 1 void. This card deals 600 damage to target player or J/Resonator, so pretty simple burn. Who said that we don't have enough burn in this format? We have all the burn cards that we could possibly need. I can see this mainly being good for draft and whatnot, but I think, yeah, it would be interesting to see this in burn decks as well. And also in the background here, it seems like we've got a Dragonoid and we've got some Pandas. So it seems like he's actually fighting the Dragonoids and the Pandas. So maybe there's just going to be like a big fight between like the 5 starter deck rulers and the Demon King. That would be pretty amazing. The Demon King steals the breath of life away. This artwork is actually really gorgeous as well. I really like it. And then finally, moving on to the water spoilers from Wednesday, we have the Misty Dragon Spirit. A little bit of spirit love here for our IU girl. It is a 4-cost Resonator. It is 2 water and 2 void, a 900/900 Dragon/Soul Resonator with flying. It has a 0-cost ability where you can remove this card from the game, and the next end of turn you can put it into the field under its owner's control. So, because it's a 0-cost, it says remove this card from the game. I feel like maybe you could potentially remove it from graveyard, or maybe it's only removing it from field. Because the way it says it here is that obviously it's just being removed from the game. So I feel like it's not stipulating that it needs to be on the field, it needs to be in the graveyard. You could perhaps do this from any point in like the field and whatnot. It doesn't specify. And then it also has a 1 void cost ability, which is this card gains 100/100 until end of turn. Play this ability only if your J ruler is Ayu, the Lunar Swordswoman, or Ayu, Shaman Swordswoman. Again, it's a very simple ability, it makes it 1000/1000 at least. And when this card is put into a graveyard from your hand, target J/Resonator against flying until end of turn. This is a really good way, at least, even if you're going to ditch it. So say you ditch this card from your hand, you give something flying, then you could use its ability to remove it from the game. And at the next end of turn, put it into your field. Seems like a really nice way to, like, say, use this ability, put it to the graveyard, remove it from game, and then your next turn be able to get into your field. That seems like a nice stipulant. Whether or not that's the way that interaction works or not, I'll need to double check, but that seems like the most viable way to do that. Next up, we have the Lowly Spirit Bug, which is a tiny little baby bug thing, which is kind of cute, actually. It is a 1-cost Resonator, just 1 water, and 100/100, so pretty fragile. It has swiftness, though, which is bizarre to see on a water Resonator. It's been, I don't even think any water Resonators come with swiftness. It's usually normally just fire, so this is very bizarre. When this card enters the field, you draw a card. So that's really nice. It's just a shame that the bug doesn't fly, but I suppose it's like a pill bug or whatnot, so they don't really have wings, but really interesting. Don't be so negative. Your soul is so great, says Ayu, which is really cute. And she's got this trust in like the tiny little buggy spirit. And then next up we have Ayu's Pictorial Scroll, which is kind of interesting because who else did we know that had the Pictorial Scroll? We knew that it was Kaguya because she uses treasury items as well, so maybe Ayu is related to Kaguya in some fashion. They are both using treasury items, so this leads me to believe there's some kind of connection here. It's a 2-cost addition treasury item, a 1 water, 1 void. When this card enters the field, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a Resonator with total cost 3 or less, put it into the field. Otherwise, put it into your hand. If your J-Ruler is J/Ruler is Ayu, Lunar Swordswoman, or Ayu, Shaman Swordswoman, put it into the field if it's a Resonator with total cost 5 or less instead. So this is really interesting. I feel like you would need to try and find some way of either guaranteeing what is going to be on the top of your deck or guaranteeing that you'll be able to see it. And then you'll even be able to use Ayu as your ruler and whatnot. I feel like maybe if you use Kaguya stones, I believe those are the ones that fix it for you, where you can look at the top card of your deck, or look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put them back in any order. So that would be good. Obviously, if you're running Kaguya stones, it would mean you'd have to like pay the 300 penalty and whatnot if you want to keep those stones up. But I suppose maybe a new way to run a jank green/blue deck with Ayu could be interesting. And then finally we have Ayu Stone herself, which is Possession Stone. It is a special magic stone that normally produces water, but you can produce any colour if Ayu is your ruler, which is really, really interesting. It's a nice way to say, hey, Ayu doesn't just need to be a water-based ruler, she can be any colour she wants. And she's pretty cool that way, which I think is a really nice way to be able to, like, say, give a ruler the access to all the colors, but at the same time just make it that way where it's like it makes sense to. I feel like it's a little bit cheated in that Welser didn't get a stone that kind of did this as well. It was just the way that only his fire could produce the ability for playing the crest and whatnot, but he loses that ability when he flips, which is why I had some problems with him and why I thought maybe his stone was a bit lackluster because of that. But I think this is really interesting. It's a really nice mechanic, and also this artwork is just totally beautiful. I need to get myself a full art of this because it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. I might not even play Ayu, but I want to make some kind of jank, kind of like you know, totally random Ayu deck, which will just be totally like kind of like a lottery pool essentially, just 60 cards lottery pool. Who knows what we're going to make here? But I think these spoilers are pretty interesting, guys. I hope you've enjoyed looking at them with me. I will hopefully be on top of it now by the time this video goes out, where I'll be able to cover the wind and the darkness spoilers for you, so that we can get those out of the way and we can get back on top of things in terms of spoilers and whatnot. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I always want to hear your feedback, guys. So until next time, I will see you all later.